We've learned how to be business owners. We've learned how to hire people, delegate. We're learning how to cut back the hours that we work ourselves.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast, helping appraisers increase their efficiency, quality, and make more money. Here's the guy who makes it his life's mission to create value for real estate appraisers nationwide. Your host and the Appraiser Coach, Dustin Harris.
And welcome to the program, everybody. Dustin Harris hanging out in the podcast chair. Once again, got a wonderful, wonderful episode for you. It kind of an appraiser stories, but kind of not. You'll see what I mean in just a few minutes. I want to pause here and remind you, of course, we are sponsored by three great companies. One of them being Alamode. Alamode is the software that I have been using for over 2 decades, folks. Count it. Over 20 years. And very, very grateful for what they do for us and will do for you, of course. Alamode is where you find them. It's 800 Alamode or alamode.com. Datamaster, again, making your life easier. How about saving about 45 minutes per report? Datamaster USA is where you find out more. Now, they're not in every area, so the first thing you're going to want to do is go to Datamaster USA and check out their coverage area and make sure that they have you covered. If they do, you need to jump on. Datamaster USA is where it's at, datamasterusa.com. Finally, we are sponsored by Working RE Magazine. Working RE is the place that I go to find out more about the appraisal world, and you should be as well. Working RE is where you sign up, workingre.com, and sign up for their free email, workingre.com. I want to welcome back to the program the whole idea of appraiser stories. We haven't done this in quite a while, so I'm welcoming the concept back, but I want to welcome to the program great friends of mine today. We've got not just one individual, but two individuals on, and this is JR and Cindy Collin. Welcome to the program.
Hi, Dustin.
Hey, Dustin.
Wonderful to have you both on. Now, when I say these guys are friends, we've been working together for how long?
2.5 years.
Okay. You said that with a question, like 2.5 years?
I'm pretty sure it's 2.5 years.
I think it's probably right in there. And you guys have been attending a mastermind of mine, and actually two. You've switched over to a different group, kind of. We kind of split the group and moved to a new city. But it's been a wonderful opportunity for me to work with these individuals, and kind of a unique situation. You guys are husband-wife team, but you're both appraisers. Is that right?
Yes. Both certified.
So this is somewhat unusual, I think. I deal with a lot of husband and wife teams. In fact, I would dare say most single person appraisers do have help, and a lot of times I find that help is from their spouse. I think that's probably one of the easiest go-to situations with somebody working alone, but it's actually quite unusual, quite rare. In fact, I don't know of very many others. I know I have at least one other mastermind group that is in that situation, but for the most part, they're not both appraisers. So let's talk a little bit about your background first, and tell me a little bit about how this came about.
So I started as an appraiser 17 years ago, and was in my first year when I met JR, and he decided he wanted to do the same thing. So we...
Copycatter.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hey, you got to follow a good thing.
Right, good.
And so he took his classes while we were planning our wedding. And
is that right?
Yeah. He took his classes January and February, and we got married at the end of March.
And that wasn't a red flag for you, Cindy?
Not at all.
I love it.
Yeah, no, it was a busy time for us, but it was well worth it. So
very cool. So how long have each of you been appraising? 17
years for me and 16 for JR.
Okay, wow. So not only are you still appraising together, but you're still married.
Yes.
Very cool. So let's start out easy. Let's talk a little bit about both of your background without appraisal. Both of you, give us a little bit of a history.
Well, I used to work at the post office for 10 years, and I didn't want to go postal, so and then I was a stay-at-home dad, actually. Then I was a painter. So I was painting houses interior, exterior when I met Cindy.
Okay.
And so needless to say, I wanted a career change.
Oh, wow. So I'm curious, JR, once you met Cindy, you saw what she did, what was it that drew you to the appraisal world? Why did you want to do it?
Me.
Yeah, I don't know. I wanted to get out of painting because slinging a brush and a roller was just, not my cup of tea. And I like the whole concept of, evaluating houses, I guess.
Very good. And you've never looked back?
No, I love how we set our own schedule. Yes, never look back.
Yeah, no, that's a big thing. Cindy, what about you? What's your background?
I was a legal secretary in my previous life. And frankly, I got burnt out. I worked in family law for 7 years total, other areas also, but I just got burnt out on what horrid things people did to each other. And I was looking for something else. And one of my friends had become an appraiser, both her and her husband. And so I looked into it and decided that seemed like a good approach. And I've never looked back. And frankly, I've always made at least the same as I did as a legal secretary right from the first month. So it was definitely worth it.
I had a friend that was an attorney. It still is an attorney, but when I don't know him very well anymore. But back in the day, he had done both criminal law and family law, and he said the worst things he's ever seen is on the family law side. Oh,
absolutely. Because I had done workers' compensation. I was in the county attorney's office of a small town, and I was in a general practice where we did everything. And by and far, family law is just the worst.
Maybe I should separate you guys for the next question because I want you to be able to speak. Well, you've been married long enough that maybe we'll get the truth one side or the other. Right? I'm curious. Talk to us about working together as a husband-wife team. Do you come up with? Do you struggle? Are there challenges that you deal with? I think for most people listening, working with their spouse that closely is just unfathomable.
So a funny story about that. We got married 6 months and 1 day after our first date. So we really didn't know each other very well. Oh. And we went to our boss. We worked for someone at that time and went to him to see if he would bring JR on as an appraiser. So his first question was, can you work together? Mm-hmm. And we're kind of like, we don't know. We don't hardly know each other for that matter. But it is fraught with opportunities for challenges. And I think especially I was basically training my husband and brand new husband. So it was... Right. It had challenges, and I think it's still, there are times when we have to be very intentional about being considerate of each other. Right. I would say JR is better at that than I am. There are times when, one of us needs correction, if you will, and so it's always a sticky situation. But bottom line for us is we got married when we were older. I was 40. I'd never been married, 41 when we got married. I'd never been married. I wanted to be married, and I really love my husband, and same with him. So I think that always is what we lean back on, is the fact that, we want our marriage to be a good marriage, and we want to be strong, and we frankly love being together. So that helps.
And also it's like we have certain strengths and certain weaknesses. Yes. Cindy's very detail oriented and, crossing the T's, dotting the I's, and I'm not as much. So certain things she handles more of and certain things I handle more of. And that's kind of how we break it up,
What's interesting to me is, at least from, and I've only been married once, but I have to tell you the first 2 to 3 years, and by the way, I'm not saying anything behind my wife's back that she wouldn't say as well to my face. They were hard. I mean, we loved each other, but getting used to just the little tiny things, like, where do you squeeze the toothpaste tube? Is it in the middle? Is it from, just these little things. And I joke about that, but there's some major things as well, right? I mean, there are some things we really had to get used to. You run through the same gamut, I think, when you have a new employee, when you have a new trainee, but you guys combined the two. What are you, nuts?
Yeah. And we blended a family.
Yeah, I brought in 3 boys that we had half the time, 50%. So that was interesting too. But I got some really good advice from someone sometime. They says, the man has to make all the big decisions in the house.
Yeah.
Funniest thing is, we haven't had any big decisions yet.
Everyone's a comedian there.
I'm the youngest of 6, so I got to,
But I think I wanted to add to our first few years, we got married when his oldest son was 14. So we were at the beginning of the teenage years. And so we had bigger issues to deal with, 2 different homes these kids were in. And so I think we were definitely, that's the kind of stuff that we had to deal with, how to help them navigate this new marriage and all, this kind of stuff. I think it was, I don't know how to put that into words, but in truth, we had bigger things to deal with than the little stuff that you argue about. And especially when you're younger and you don't understand that people think differently. And, we've both spent time learning how to be a husband and wife and parents. And I think the advantage of being older was we had some years under our belt of reality. Yeah. And so I think that helped. And then, realizing that our kids were a higher priority than some of this other piddly stuff. But not that we didn't have our challenges, absolutely. But appraising wasn't the biggest challenge there. So, we definitely have, I think it's a little bit easier to work through the appraising challenges because we had other things that were way more important and bigger to deal with. So,
That's fascinating. Yeah. I think being married, I speak for myself here, being married at 21, my wife was 20. Some of the petty things that I look back on and think, oh my gosh, really? Was that even our first fight, we got in a fight because we were trying to decide whether or not to buy a TV stand. Okay. Not an entertainment center. We can afford a TV stand. And she wanted solid wood and I wanted to save some money by getting particle board. And I'm telling you, it was a knockdown, drag out fight. Right. So
Wow.
some of the petty things we worry about. All right, folks,
Yeah.
I want to talk to you more about your setup, more about your office, but want to pause here, of course, and remind everybody that we are sponsored by 3 great companies. One of them being Working RE Magazine. Folks, you hear me talk about Working RE Magazine. Why am I insistent that you get on Working RE Magazine? Let me tell you, in reality, right, I don't read every email that comes from Working RE, but to be looped in and to have that opportunity to hit archive or hit delete when it's not something I'm interested in, it's worth it for the trade-off. And here's the trade-off. Here's why you want to be involved. If you care about what's going on in your appraisal profession, Working RE is the best magazine out there to keep you informed as to what's happening with the legislation, with the regulations, with the future, with the volume, everything that's going on in your chosen career, your chosen profession, you can find at workingre.com. Go there, sign up for their free email. I promise you won't regret it. A la mode is another thing you're not going to regret. I don't care what software you are with right now. You need to look at switching to a la mode. It is the process, the ability to be able to save time, to save money, to be more efficient, more effective, to do more volume, which translates into more money in your pocket. Now, I know you're going to look at a la mode and you're going to say, well, gee, Dustin, it's the most expensive one out there. Yeah, unless you're looking at it as an investment, because it saves you time and saves you money every single day. Check them out. Go to alamode.com, or better yet, pick up the phone and call them. The number is very easy to remember. It's 800-ALA-MODE. Finally, we're sponsored by DataMaster. DataMaster is saving appraisers about 45 minutes on every single report that you do. Now, I want you to think, and many of us are in a very busy time right now, I want you to think about what your volume was last month, okay? That 30-day stretch, how many appraisals did you do? Now, I want you to take out your little calculator, and I want you to times that by 45 minutes, okay? And then I want you to divide that by the number of hours that you saved or will save using DataMaster, and tell me it's not one of the best investments that you can make. DatamasterUSA.com is where it's at. Again, it's DatamasterUSA.com. All right, folks, welcome back. We are talking with JR and Cindy Collin. JR, that's not your real name. Why do they call you JR?
Oh, I'm a junior. My given name, I guess you would say, it is Gordon Collin Jr. And as I grew up, everyone called me Junior. And so when I turned about 18, they said, "Oh, you're getting too old for that." So they changed it to JR. So I can always tell how long I've known you, because if you call me Junior, I've probably known you forever.
I'm going to start calling you Junior.
You can. Yeah.
Well, welcome back. You guys are in Minnesota, right? Tell us a little bit about what it's like to appraise in Minnesota.
We don't have a lot of unique things. We do have a lot of lakes, 10,000 plus.
Sure, that's what they say.
So lakefront properties here are, that's kind of gold. So that's one of the things you have to learn how to handle. We don't really have very high-end homes. I actually, just out of curiosity, look, the last 2 years, there's only been 9 sales above $5 million. Now that's our area.
In your area?
In our area, which is the Twin Cities area.
Oh my gosh.
Outside of that, the area where I grew up is a couple hours away. There's a lake area there, chain of lakes they call it, and it's there was 2 sales there that were over $5 million too. But the highest, there's only a few of them. The highest sale was $12 million.
Okay.
So we're not talking the high end. Now there may have been some transfers of homes that were high end that didn't go through MLS, but we don't have a lot of high end stuff here.
Yeah, but I'm going to challenge you a little bit. You say not necessarily high end, but you definitely deal with some unique properties. It may not be expensive, but like you said, you're dealing with lakefront, you're dealing with other idiosyncrasies that a lot of states don't deal with.
Yeah, we got the Mississippi River here too. We've got we don't do many, I don't remember the last time we did a dome home, but we've got dome homes. We have a lot of
some
berm homes, cabins definitely have, well, not even just cabin, but the log houses and shouses. Every once in a while you run into a shouse. So the shed of the house.
I started using that just this last year. Did I get that word from you, or did you get it from me?
My son has one, so
probably got it.
That's what he calls it.
You're gonna have to explain what a shouse is, because I think a lot of people don't have a clue.
That's where you have a shed, and then you have a living area as a part of the shed. So it's separate, but still part of the building that has the shed in it.
So you want to hear something that's funny that just, is so unique. I love talking to appraisers from all over the country because the names that we have for things. For example, if I say duplex in my area, it might mean something completely different, somewhere else.
That's true.
Yeah.
Duplex is a multifamily home where a lot of people would say a duplex is a twin home, right? So it just depends on your area. But you said shouse, and then I asked you to explain it, and your explanation is different than mine. Because in my area, it's not a shed house; it's a shop house.
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah,
Well, he does have a business attached to it, so yeah.
Very interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and then we also have a lot of homes that are 100 years old or more, and a fair amount. Not like out east, but we do have a lot that are over 100 years old. So
very good. So do you find that you are the type of appraisers that a client could go to and ask for basically anything, and if the price is right, you guys can do it, or do you kind of pick and choose your battles?
I'd say we could. We do some. We do. And I think as we go, we'll probably take on or be more willing to take on crazy stuff. But I'm not afraid of a challenge. And now I have a network of other appraisers to pull from, which is invaluable. So
wait a minute, appraisers don't talk to appraisers.
Oh, they do now.
They do now. Yeah.
If you're smart.
I didn't get the memo. Very good. So let's talk about that a little bit. You guys have had a lot of success, as I know a little bit about your business after working with you for 2.5 years. Talk to us a little bit about the things that you've learned over the years and maybe some advice that you can give to other appraisers.
Biggest piece of advice, and this isn't an advertisement for you, and as a matter of fact, I don't think you really are excited about me plugging you, but we have come from working for someone else to being completely on our own with other appraisers and support staff. So none of that was true when we first started the Mastermind group and plugging into the all-star team. We've learned how to be business owners. We've learned how to hire people, delegate. We're learning how to cut back the hours that we work ourselves. We've hired a virtual assistant out of the Philippines. We're improving our work product. Being a part of the Facebook pages, not just yours, but also the 100% real estate appraisers and a couple other groups, drawing from other people's experiences is priceless. Yeah. And so, frankly, I highly recommend people tap into the networks that are out there, tap into the Facebook pages, join a mastermind group if you're, wanting to build a business, whatever you can do, the podcasts that are out there, all of that stuff it's just priceless. And I think, we've grown in our confidence. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think that you well covered it all.
Yeah. So highly recommend doing that kind of stuff.
Well, I appreciate that. And it's super cool to see. And it's not just through the appraiser coach. As you mentioned, there's a lot of resources out there, some of them free, some of them not. A lot of individuals coaching now and helping other individuals to move along in their process. A lot of podcasts out there that weren't there before. Mark Skapinitz has one. Tim Anderson has one. Jamie Owen has one. There's lots of resources out there. As you mentioned, the 100% real estate appraisers. But one of the cool things that I see happening in the appraisal world, and I really mean this, is super cool. As you mentioned, 10 years ago, I kind of joke about this. Hey, appraisers shouldn't talk to appraisers, but that's really kind of the way it was. And I don't see that much anymore, right?
Right. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. What did we miss? I want to ask the $64,000 question, but I want to make sure that we get to everything that you guys wanted to talk about before I jump to that.
I can't think of anything else. I think that pretty much covers everything.
So we got to end with a funny or an interesting story that you guys have had. I mean, you've been doing this long enough that you've had some crazy things happen. I know. We're dying to
It's funny because we thought about that question and it's like, there's not a lot there. We've been chased by people when you're taking comp photos. Had the cops called on us. We did walk out of a house at one time. And that was, we seriously considered calling someone out of health concerns for a minor that was living in this horrible house. But really, we don't have any really unique stories. I guess the one thing I would say was the first time I had to do a rental property in North Minneapolis. I grew up on a farm up north, and I'm a country bumpkin through and through. And so North Minneapolis can be a little scary sometimes. And so the first rental I had, I went and took a picture of the front of the house, and there was some people sitting there, and the lady completely came unhinged. And she was yelling at me and carrying on. And of course, this is the house I had to go into. And I go in and honest to God, I thought they were going to lock me in the basement when I went in the basement. These people scared me, but I've kind of gotten used to that kind of stuff. And thankfully now JR does most of the observations. So
he's the one that gets locked in the basement.
Yeah, yes, but I kind of like it.
Well, Cindy, JR, you guys are wonderful. I appreciate your friendship and ongoing association that we have through the Mastermind group. Thank you for reaching out. I should mention, I didn't have to twist your arm. In fact, you came to me and said, hey, it's not something I'm super comfortable with, but I'm willing to tell our stories. So thank you for that. And hopefully that will be an encouragement for anybody else out there.
Yeah,
absolutely. Thank you, Dustin.
Thank you, Dustin.
Thanks, guys. You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast. Once again, the Appraiser Stories. And if you have a desire to be on the program, or if you don't have a desire but want to, are willing anyway, I would love to have you on. Please reach out to my assistant. It's the assistant, THE assistant at theappraisercoach.com, and she would be happy to schedule a time. I promise you, we will make it easy on you. Thank you for joining us today. We'll catch you next time.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.
What's that shiny thing out there? Oh,
Is that my head?
Nice. You made people use so, buddy.
Just get it all out, man. Just get it all out.
You're a friend when we can tease you.
Okay. Yeah, I was really happy with the way it turned out. So hopefully it recorded.
Good practice otherwise.